Dr. Richard Martin, Sacred Heart Hospital.
That was a perfect segue, because a lot of what I'm about to tell you really comes down to having a heart. Taking care of patients has been a moral purpose of my life, and I came to talk to you today because as a doctor, I took an oath to my patients and the public that first and foremost, I would do no harm. And I want to be very clear that repealing the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, would do tremendous harm to Spokane, to Washington State, and to our entire country. Thanks to the Affordable Care Act, cancer patients, pregnant women, folks with MS or diabetes, they can no longer be denied coverage due to pre-existing conditions. Thanks to the Affordable Care Act, roughly 1 million more Washingtonians now have health insurance. And most of that health insurance is in a very affordable Medicaid. And most of those newly covered people are from rural counties that voted for Cathy McMorris Rodgers. Now, I've spoken with the Congresswoman in the past on this issue, and she often tells me that one of her guiding principles is that nothing should come between a doctor and a patient. I'm sure you've heard her say this as well. Well, Congresswoman, I could not agree more, but I cannot think of a clearer example of someone coming between me and 1 million Washington patients than you choosing to repeal the Affordable Care Act. And this is not just an ideological battle. Tens of thousands of lives are at stake. According to a group of doctors from Harvard and Columbia University, repealing the ACA will result in 43,000 preventable deaths per year. 43,000, think about that. That means in 10 years, a population the size of Spokane, gone. And for what?
Lack of healthcare.
For what? To make good on a re-election promise? To free up $3.1 trillion in tax cuts for the top 1%? That's right. I encourage all of you here to go to Tax Policy Center, Urban Institute, or Brookings Institute and learn about what Cathy McMorris Rodgers has planned to do with the money that she's taking away from healthcare.
It's vicious.
But this is wrong. Right? This is wrong. And forget about me being a doctor. I'm here today because before my dad passed away, he told me the most important thing in life is to treat others the way you want to be treated. And that's why I think this was so fitting that we just talked about having a heart. Because as a citizen, as a Christian, or even religion aside, just as a man seeking moral purpose in my life, ACA repeal goes against everything I've been taught about treating other people with a basic sense of human decency. Therefore, I feel I have a moral obligation to speak out against this repeal, because we deserve better. People like you deserve better. I see these signs over here. My stepmother was diagnosed with brain cancer and then saved by the ACA. Or our friend has MS, as I mentioned before, would have been a pre-existing condition. He's terrified of not just losing his health care, but of literally dying. People like that deserve better. And I'd like to share a story about one of my own recent patients who I'll call Jay, who deserves better. Last July, Jay lost his job as a mechanic. And because in this country, insurance is often linked to employment, Jay subsequently lost his health insurance. At the same time, Jay began noticing streaks of blood in his sputum, and he was having more and more difficulty breathing. He knew something was terribly wrong, but he felt he couldn't seek medical care without insurance. Thanks to the Affordable Care Act, in November, he got insurance. And when it kicked in January, I was able to take care of him. Unfortunately, this is when my team had to give Jay the devastating news that he had metastatic lung cancer. But with his insurance, he's now at least receiving chemotherapy, and he's fighting very hard. Now, I often wonder what options might have been available to Jay had he gotten medical care back in July. Something that would have been possible and covered in every other developed country on earth. Right? And sadder still though, I wonder, without the Affordable Care Act, whether Jay would still be struggling to seek care in the first place, and whether he'd even be alive today. Would he be one of those 43,000 a year that die from preventable causes? You know, it's people like Jay, people like all of you who are here, raise of hands, anybody who's here for the first time, who's never done anything like this before. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, let's hear it. Let's hear it for those people. Let's hear it. Yeah, another show of hands. People like that, who your lives have been changed. Maybe you're here today, or you're a family member, because of the Affordable Care Act. Thank you. Thank you. It's people like you that motivate me to stand up here and fight for you and do what I do. And I only hope that our Congresswoman upstairs feels the same. You know, she's told me in the past that she truly believes that all Americans should have access to medical care. She said that. But unfortunately, she's also said that she believes the emergency department meets that criteria for access. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that's not access. You cannot get cancer screenings in an emergency department. You can't get family planning or so many of the other very important services that we spoke about earlier with Planned Parenthood. You can't get that in an emergency department. Nope. You can't get well child visits. Nope. You can't get mental health services, substance rehabilitation, stroke rehabilitation, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, it goes on and on. These things are not provided in an emergency department. Now, what kind of doctor would I be, what type of person would I be, if I waited for all of you to get so sick that you came to me in an ambulance and only then offered you any type of medical care? I couldn't sleep with myself at night. And I hope that our representatives can't sleep with themselves at night too, if that's their answer.
Yeah! Make them stay up all night.
It's not okay. We deserve better. The people who had your hands up, you deserve better. Everyone deserves better. And at a time when every other country on earth is meeting the moral obligation of providing universal access for healthcare for their people, we know it's doable. It's our turn now. Instead, we're here dealing with going backwards. That is not acceptable. I refuse to sit back and let that happen. And I know all of you here refuse to do the same. So we must hold Cathy McMorris Rodgers accountable.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to do that? All right. That's all I have, but I would just end to say, you know, this is about, again, human lives and having a heart.
Amen.
And I think if you can work that angle and ask her and hold her accountable for being against repeal and being against the price plan, that's the best we can do for now. But day in, day out, every day, noon. Every day, noon, right? All right. Thank you so much for your time.